wants to destroy the word of God. And for all of you, I'm speaking directly to everybody who got a word on today, that you got to fight for that word. You got to protect that word with everything you got, because the enemy wants to take that word from you. He wants to make that word null and void. Null and void. That's what he does. Kill, steal, and destroy. But that's not the end of it.
That's right.
The scripture goes on to say, but Jesus comes to give us life and life more abundantly.
That's right.
Yes, Lord.
And the word abundance means overflowing.
Yeah.
More than enough.
Yes.
More than enough.
Yeah.
I say this all the time, that when you praying, if you just praying for your house, that's a selfish prayer. You need to be praying that God give you finances for your house, for you to be able to bless somebody else's house, for you to bless somebody else's house down the street, and somebody else and somebody else's. That just helps somebody. So listen, real quick, I just want to share this. I want to share this. So we've been talking about this, and I've been talking about this a lot around here. It's being radical. Radical. That's the word that God gave that to me at the beginning of the year, that we got to be radical. In this season, you got to be radical in your pursuit of Him. We talk about a lot of the things that we're going to do in 2017, some of the things that we're desiring in 2017, and we go into it with the same mentality that we had in 2016, the same mentality that we had in 2015 and 14 and on and on. And some things didn't change because we're doing the same old thing, so we get the same results. 2017 is going to require you to be radical.
Yes.
Radical.
Yeah.
You gotta get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I want to read this to you real quick. What the word radical means? It means that a couple of definitions. One of those definitions is affecting the fundamental nature of something.
All right.
Another one is very different from the usual.
Yes.
Did y'all get that?
Yes.
Not just different, because you can do different and you get the same results. But it says very different from the normal or traditional. Not just different, but very different. And here's another one. It says favoring extreme changes in existing views, habits, and condition. Extreme. Not the normal. We were talking about very different. So if you're praying, if you're worshiping, Pastor Trish just talked about you gotta give more in your praise. You gotta give more in your worship. You gotta give more in your time. That's radical. You got to be radical with this thing. You can't keep doing the same thing expecting different results.
That's right.
You got to give more of your time. You got to give more of your resources. You got to give more praise. You got to give more worship.
Yes, God.
Some things won't change until you get radical. That's a drastic change.
Yes, Lord.
You got to get sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yes, God. Yes, God.
You got to get sick and tired with being sick and tired. I heard a story one time. This guy that I listen to sometimes. He was a professor, and he began to pour into this young man. And the young man was a basketball star, and he lost the game, and he did all these things, or something happened. But he came into his office, and he was crying and crying and crying, just looking for a pity party. And he says he looks at this young man, and he says, "Cry, cry, get it all out. I want you to be so disappointed with disappointment that you won't want to have that feeling again.
Yes.
That you get so disappointed with disappointment that you will never want to have that feeling again. That's going to require you to do something radical. Something different from what you've been doing. That's going to cause you to get up early, an hour earlier in the morning to have your time. That's going to cause you to stay up an hour or two later sometime. That's going to cause you to do some things that are very, very different from the normal. Going to cause you to lose some sleep sometimes because you got to go to the extreme sometimes. Sometimes things won't change until you get radical.
Yes, God. Yes, God.
You can't do the same things that you did last year.
That's right.
And expect a different 2017.
All right.
That's right.
Here's a quote. It says, to guarantee success, act as if it was impossible to fail. To guarantee success, act as if it were impossible to fail.
That's good.
You got to be radical. Here's a story. You guys have already heard this story. Back in 1519, it was a general, a captain, and he went to this foreign land. He went to the enemy's country to take over the land. It says that he took 600 men with him, and he went to a foreign soil to take over the land. And it says that he did something radical, and they had to go by way of the sea. And so they sailed the sea for days and days and days and days. When they get to the shore, he says, he tells his people, he tells the few of the men to burn all the ships. He says to burn all the ships. And he looks at the men and tells them, the only way that you get back home to see your family is we got to defeat the enemy and take their ships.
Yeah.
The only way you get back home to see your family, to see your children, to see your loved ones is we got to defeat the enemy and take their ships. That's radical. That's extreme. See, you got to leave yourself no other option sometimes. See, that's our problem sometimes. We got a plan B.
Yes.
Sometimes we got a plan B. So we leave ourselves a little bit of room. Well, if this don't work out, I'll just fall back on this. But sometimes you got to leave yourself no other options but to move forward in the face of adversity, in the face of challenges, in the face of every roadblock. You got to move forward. And don't leave yourself a way out. Whatever it may be, you got to burn your ship. If God called you to it, He'll bring you through it.
Yes, He will. Yes, He will.
You got to burn your ship. Burn your ship in this season. That's radical. That's going to the extreme.
Yes.
Causing you to do something that's uncomfortable. You got to eliminate the possibility of going back.
Yes. Say that again.
You got to eliminate the possibility of going back.
That's good.
Because going back will get you the same results.
Same results. Same results.
Same results that you got last year and the last 5 years and the last 10 years. You may think, some of you may be even in a good place, but it's greater.
Yes.
Greater will cause you to get radical as well.
Yes, God.
I don't believe none of us are at a point where we just arrive. You know, Paul says in Philippians 3, I think it's Philippians 3 and 12, that he says that he hasn't arrived. He said he hadn't apprehended nothing. He said he has not arrived. But he says he keep pressing forward towards the mark of the higher calling. So 3 points I want to give to you real quickly when you got to get radical in this season. There's a story in Matthew 19:21. You guys have heard the story of the rich young ruler. When he's doing all these things, and Jesus comes along, it says he's living right. He don't cuss. He don't drink. He don't do none of these things. He's just a good old boy. And he asked Jesus, what must he do to inherit the kingdom. And Jesus says, he says, keep my commandments. He says, don't kill, don't steal, don't do none of these things. And he said, but Jesus, I do all of these things already. And Jesus looks at him and says, and you guys know the story. The story is, it says he was wealthy. He had it all. He had the 1,000 acres and 40 acres and a mule. He had the big house on the hill, all the cars. He had it all. And Jesus looks at him and says, hey, go sell everything and give it to the poor. And it says that he walks away sad because he had much.
Wow. Yeah.
It says that he walked away sad because he had much.
Yeah.
So here's the first principle I want to share with you. Sometimes when it comes to being radical, you got to give more than you can manage.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got to give more than what you can manage. Need y'all to get to it. More than what you can manage. Because when you give more than what you can manage, then God math kicks in. I say this all the time. I love God's math. God works in multiplication.
Yeah.
So when you give more than you can manage, that's where God multiplication kicks in.
Yeah.
That he says, when one could put one in flight, then he says, and two could put 10,000 in flight. That's God's math.
That's his math.
When he says, give and 100-fold, 1,000-fold to be given back unto you. That's God's math.
Yeah.
So the first thing is you got to give more than what you can manage. The second, in Luke 19, you guys know the story of the little short guy named Zacchaeus, right? It says Zacchaeus was a chief tax collector, so he was pretty wealthy as well. And in Luke 19, 1 through 10, it talks about how when this crowd was gathered around, it talked about a multitude of people. And it talked about, Zacchaeus heard that Jesus was passing through the way. And it said that because the crowd was so large and he was so short that he could not see. It says so Zacchaeus did something radical. It says he ran ahead in front of the crowd and climbed up in this sycamore tree. So he could see Jesus. And it says that when Jesus passed by, it says he looks up and sees Zacchaeus in the sycamore tree. That's radical. Because it says that it was a large crowd. Jesus could have talked to anybody. It was a crowd around, but it says that he walked through the crowd and looked up and seen Zacchaeus in the sycamore tree. That's radical.
Radical, yeah.
That's being radical, to be in the presence of God. Yeah. Sometimes you won't feel like praying.
All right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you won't feel like reading your word.
Yeah.
But you got to press on.
Yes, God.
You got to get radical in this season. So here's the second principle I want to leave you. Sometimes you got to go where the crowd won't go.
Yes.
Sometimes you got to go where the crowd won't go.
Yeah.
Because the crowd sometimes will just flock to where some of the things are going on. It says that, when Jesus fed the multitude, it says, everybody gathered around. But when he began to tell them about, hey, you got to eat my flesh, you got to do all these things, Scripture goes on to say that was a hard word.
Hard word.
And everybody left him. So sometimes being radical will cause you to go where the crowd won't go. Sometimes being radical is going to cause you to make an unpopular decision. Sometimes being radical is going to cause you to look strange.
Yeah.
Because you are following or going down the road less traveled.
Yes.
And some people will look at you and say, why don't you go this way? Everybody else is going that way. So sometimes you just got to go where the crowd won't go.
Yeah.
You got to travel the road less traveled.
Yes, God.
And that can be an unpopular place sometimes. But how many of you know going the road less traveled sometimes will cause you to be a pioneer? Amen. It will cause you to be a pioneer. And others will come to you and ask you, how did you do it? How did you do it? Yeah. Success leaves clues. See, when you be a pioneer and you pave the way, I can guarantee you others want to know how you did it, and they're going to come to you. So here's the third principle I want to leave you with. It's in Luke 5 and 7. Luke 5:17 through 39. It talks about how another large crowd was gathered around, and it talked about it was this group of men that they was toting a lame man on a bed. He was lame, so he couldn't move. He was not mobile, and it says that they was toting him on a bed. Yeah. That's how he got around. Had a group of guys that was toting him on a bed, and it says that Jesus was in this place teaching, but a large crowd was around, so it says they couldn't get in. So they made a radical move. It says that they climbed on top of the house. Now get that. Can you imagine this? Now you toting somebody on a bed, and you got to climb to the top of this building and take him up with you. And it says that when they got to the top, they tore a hole in the roof to lower the man down. So he can be in the presence of Jesus, so he can be healed.
Yes, God. Yes, God.
So he can just be in his presence.
Just be in the presence.
To be healed. That's radical. That's being radical. So here's my third point I want to make to you. Sometimes the door that you thought was the one is not the way that God chose for you.
Yeah.
The path that you thought was the path is not the path that God chose for you.
That's good.
So if you get to that door, and this also a principle of perseverance. Sometimes you can walk away or go into a door, and that door may be closed. That path may be full. That path may be challenging. But will you give up?
Yeah.
Will you give up? Or will you get radical and persevere just to be in his presence?
Yes.
Just to be in his presence. Because in his presence is safety. In his presence is healing. In his presence is riches. In his presence is everything that you need.
Yes.
In his presence is peace. In his presence is prosperity. In his presence is everything that you have been searching for. Is in his presence.
Yes, Lord.
Will you be radical to get to that place? No, I'm asking you. That's a question for you.
Yes, God.
Will you be radical to get to that place?
Yes, God.
Because that's what it's going to require. Because we're living in a time right now where it's distractions to your left, it's distractions to your right, it's distractions all around you.
Yes,
and you know what they're doing? They're trying to distract you, that's all.
Yeah.
They're trying to distract you, trying to keep you from entering into that place. But the question is, will you be radical? Will you climb on the rooftop and tear a hole in the roof just to get in his presence? Will you climb up in this sycamore tree Just to get a look at it. Will you give more than you can manage?
Wow. Wow.
Just so he can begin to multiply in your life.
Wow.
Good.
That's good.
Will you be radical in this season? Because that's what it's going to take. Leave yourself no other option. Eliminate every possibility of going back. Amen?
Yes.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay, what we're supposed to be doing?
We'll receive that.